Hi guys, and welcome back to my latest video, and today I'm going to be doing a ranking of every single Sylvester McCoy story. Now, because I've been gone for such a long time, I've collected a few DVDs as well, so I may do a DVD update or whatever, but I thought I'd get this video done first because the ideas only recently just popped into my head. So, because now I've got every single story, because he's one of my favourite doctors. John Pertwee's my favourite, but I've got a few joint favourites, but I'm not going to go into that. That'll probably be a video for another day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through every single Sylvester McCoy story from season 24 to 26, and I think Sylvester McCoy is a fantastic doctor. I really love Seven, and I really do like a lot of his stories. But so without any further ado, let's crack on with the video and dive straight in at number 12. You've probably guessed it already. I'm going from worst to best. So, at the very worst of Sylvester McCoy, we have Time in the Rani. I'm sure you probably would have thought that in your head straight away as soon as I mentioned the very worst of Sylvester McCoy. I know there are people out there who think the story's quite good, but I think that's probably due to the fact that it's a guilty pleasure of theirs. But yeah, it's quite a bad story, personally. Just everything about it is really just makes it incredibly difficult to watch. And to be honest, the next three stories that I'm about to show you, 11, 10 and 9, they're all... It's the whole of season 24 basically, and my favourite story within that season is probably Dragonfire, but Paradise Towers, it's alright. It's the Kangs are really annoying, which is sort of what lets it down really. It's quite a dark concept. A lot of the Sylvester McCoy stories are quite dark. But even so, the story, I was quite disappointed, but I wasn't really expecting much, to be honest. Delta and the Bannerman, it's alright. It's quite a light-hearted story compared to some of the other stories in this particular era, but it's just a bit naff, really. And Dragonfire, again, not much of an improvement, but I think it's probably the strongest out of the season. But it is quite enjoyable. I watched it last month because I was having a little bit of a marathon once I got all of his stories. Yeah, I still enjoyed it then. It introduces Ace, and Ace is one of my favourite companions. So it's good to watch Ace in it, and she works well with Mel, I think. It's probably Mel's best story, but she does leave in it, so yeah, it's kind of... Well, Time in the Rani just made a run for it, probably because it found out I was criticising it. But yeah, anyway, I'll probably have to get that later. Right, so at number 8, we're moving on to the season 25, and here we have Silver Nemesis, probably one of the worst Cyberman stories of all time. It might be the worst, actually. It's just, I think the writer just made it up as he went along, apparently. I watched the special features, and this was the 25th anniversary story because it was the 25th anniversary season, and really this isn't all that good. There's quite a good cliffhanger for part 1, I think it is, or part 2, I think it's probably part 1, where the Cybermen arrive. That's quite a good cliffhanger, but it's probably the best part in it, and the Cybermen are just very weak in it. So I wouldn't really recommend this, but I would only get it for completionist reasons. That's what I did anyway. Next up at number 7, we have the very last classic Doctor Who story, and that is Survival. I know a lot of people like this, but I think that's only because it's the last classic Doctor Who story. The ending's great with the music and everything, and the dialogue, but I don't know, I didn't really enjoy the story when I first watched it, and then when I rewatched it again, when I was doing my Sylvester McCoy marathon, I still didn't really enjoy it. It's a bit of a meh story, but I know people that do like it, and each to their own opinion, really. And at number, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, number 6. I'm still on target, so that's good. We have Battlefield. I really enjoyed the story, but I think it probably would have been better. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but the writer said it would have been better if the Brigadier had been killed off, because then the main villain of the piece, I've forgotten his name, this guy right here, I think it would have made his character have a bit more of an impact, but no, it didn't really happen. But I still really enjoyed it, and Jean Marsh is fantastic. But if you like Jean Marsh, then I would highly recommend you watch Battlefield if you haven't, because she's great and she's fantastic in this story. And at number 5, we have The Happiness Patrol. A really silly Doctor Who story, but it's rather dark as well. I've really enjoyed the story. I think it's so weird and wonderful, and I just think it's really entertaining. Although the Candyman monster is, I don't know. I haven't really made my full opinion on it. I'm not sure what I think of it, because I haven't really decided if it's good or bad. It's been the same every time I watch the story, but it's got some great special features, this DVD, and of course the main character was sort of based on Margaret Thatcher, which is kind of interesting. And as you can see, there's a pink TARDIS on the cover as well. So yeah, I think this is a really good story, actually. And at number 4, we have The Curse of Fenrick. A brilliant story. The Hemovores are fantastic. Everything about this story, I think, is fantastic. It's extremely well written by Ian Briggs. He's done such a great job. It's one of my favourite Doctor Who's, and I just think it's one of the greatest Doctor Who stories, because it's got a great plot. Just, you see a really manipulative 7th Doctor here. He's one of the most manipulative he's ever been, I think. I think this is when Doctor Who is starting to really get back into its, golden form. If that makes any sense, I'm pretty sure it doesn't. But anyway, yeah, fantastic story. If you haven't seen The Curse of Fenrick, I would honestly recommend you go and watch it, because it is one of the best written Doctor Who stories, I think, ever from the classic series, and in general, really. But yeah, the cover's great as well. I really like that. Sort of looks like a bit of a regeneration, really, like the new series Doctors do. But yeah, I'd highly recommend you go and watch The Curse of Fenrick. It's absolutely fantastic. And at number 3, we have Ghostlight. One of the most confusing Doctor Who stories of all time, but I thought it looked great as a production. It's about Ace, really, the story. It focuses on the character of Ace, which I think it's one of the most interesting seasons of Doctor Who, season 26, and this makes Ace one of the most interesting companions from the classic series. So yeah, it's fantastic. I really like the cover as well for this one. I like the light effect as well, and Light himself is quite a good concept, but I sort of understood what was going on when I watched it, but I think by the end of it I just realised, what the hell did I just watch, to be honest, because I really liked it for its production. It's a really good looking production, so I think you'll probably enjoy it for that, really. And if you're a fan of Ace, I think this is a must have, because it's all about Ace. At number 2, we have The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. A great story. If you like clowns, or if you have a fear of clowns, then I wouldn't really recommend you watch this. But if you know somebody that does, you could be a little bit manipulative like the 7th Doctor and try and overcome their fears and get them to watch this story. There's some great moments in this. I was so blown away by it when it came out. I bought this during the time it was released, back in 2012, and every time I watch it, I just love it even more. It's such a fantastic story, and the plot is great. The chief clown is brilliant. It's just a fantastic story, really, and I really, really enjoy it, and I'd highly recommend it if you're a Sylvester McCoy fan, because this, I think, is one of his best stories ever. And finally, to end this ranking, we have, you probably guessed it, Remembrance of the Daleks. My favourite Dalek story alongside Evil of the Daleks. Just a really good Dalek story. So much going on. It's really quick, really fast. The pacing is fantastic. The script is great. The acting is superb. And the Daleks are great in it. And Ben Aronovich knows how to write the Daleks. And like a lot of the new series writers nowadays. But this is the first time that the Daleks were able to fly up the stairs. And the budget on this must have been absolutely huge for Doctor Who. Which is why Silver Nemesis looks a bit shit. But yeah, just a brilliant story. One of my favourites ever of all time. And if you're a fan of the Daleks and you haven't watched this, or if you're thinking about getting into the classic series, I wouldn't recommend this story enough. So that is my ranking of all the Sylvester McCoy stories from season 24 to season 26. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you haven't watched any Sylvester McCoys yet, then I'd highly recommend quite a lot of them, because there are some very good stories. So thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you next time. So thanks for watching, and goodbye.